The DA retained its position in the highly contested Ward 73 municipality in eThekwini. According to the IEC's results, the party winning with 81.74% of the total votes cast compared to 67.4%, around 67.5% during the 2021 municipal elections. Just before those by-elections, both the ANC and the DA visited the Ward to campaign. So what does this result mean for next year's election? Let's unpack this further. We're joined this morning by the DA's KZN leader, Francois Rodgers, joins us via our video link. Francois, I suppose that's one of the questions. What does it mean for next year's polls? But also, I suppose this outcome is an indication of how successful your campaigning was in the run-up to this by-election.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, Michelle, and good morning to your viewers. It is indeed. It was a great victory because the ANC threw everything at the by-election, including the President. President Ramaphosa was there a week or so before. They once again came up with their tactics of handing out SESA food vouchers, and again it failed dismally. And I think this is a clear sign that the residents and the voters are tired of the empty rhetoric and arriving just before an election and doing these massive handouts and these circus road shows. I think voters want change. They see there's a possibility of change. And I think that bodes well for 2024 in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
The Ward 73, was touted in the build-up to this by-election as a two-horse race. It was touted as a ward that's quite important in the build-up to next year's election. Why was this ward so key for the DA to win?
Well, look, Michelle, it was our ward, so we retained it with a bigger majority. We were never under the illusion that we would lose the ward. Once again, there was an ANC event with Ramaphosa where they were welcoming hundreds of DA members who we didn't even recognize in the photographs. So we were quite sure we were going to win it, but I think most importantly what we wanted to do was win it with a bigger majority, because that sends a clear message out to voters that change is possible in 2024. And I think every single by-election now, running up to the 2024 election, is critical. And we've been extremely lucky. We've maintained and grown our support in the province, whereas somebody like the ANC, unfortunately, have lost some wards and have shown a decline, which gives voters a clear indication of the possible changes in 2024.
So effectively retaining Ward 73, but with a much bigger majority, from 67% to 81%, almost 82%. So what story does this tell us, Francois, about the road to 2024 for the Democratic Alliance and perhaps more specifically for the DA in KZN?
Well, obviously, 2024 is going to be an enormous year for the province of KwaZulu-Natal. We've undertaken not a coalition, but a cooperation agreement with the IFP in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, where we assist them in 4 of the hung municipalities. And this gives us an opportunity to feel each other out, so that come 2024, there's a very strong possibility that through a coalition, we can have another government other than the ANC. And in all likelihood, that's going to be the IFP and the DA. And I think voters want change. I think voters are tired, particularly when it comes to local government, the failures of service delivery. eThekwini's been the worst with the July riots, the floods. Very little has recovered from those 2 unfortunate incidents. And I think, again, this is very telling in the by-election result of Ward 73.
I suppose it was made all the more sweet, this victory and this increase in majority in Ward 73, because the by-election was called after a DA councillor actually resigned and went to the ANC.
Yes, indeed. He jumped ship and resigned and went across to the ANC and didn't prove to be worth his salt. And this was the problem we had with the previous incumbent. He wasn't performing, and we were putting more and more pressure on him to perform, and eventually he decided he'd had enough and thought that perhaps retirement in the ANC was his best option.
You know, one of the critics, the criticism of the Democratic Alliance, and particularly its campaigning style before elections, is that it's always saying what it can do better than the ANC. You know, it's always the ANC does this, but the DA does this. Is that something that, I suppose this is a question for national structures as well, but indicated in that you are taking into consideration as you now sort of outline your campaigning for the next 12 months or so, that it has to be centered around just what the DA can bring to the party?
Absolutely, Michelle, and we have a fine example. For the past 17 months, we've been governing the municipality of Mgeni under Mayor Chris Papas. I was there on Tuesday where he presented the IDP and the budget. And of course, that is a huge success story for us, because what Chris and his team have done is turned a dysfunctional municipality left by the ANC into a functional municipality. And our message to our voters is clear. Now, where the DA governs, it governs well. We have a good track record, and we can now, for the very first time, claim a municipality in our own province. In the past, it was very difficult to tell voters in KZN about Cape Town. You know, many of them don't know Cape Town. But now we have it on our very own doorstep, and that will, of course, form a huge part of our campaign into 2024.
It most certainly is election season with 12 months to go. Francois Rodgers, let me thank you for your time this morning. The DA's KwaZulu-Natal leader, of course, responding to that victory, that retention of Ward 73, where the DA retained its majority, increased its majority, I should say.